Good morning, guys. We from group 5. We're going to presentation about speech communities. Saya Budi Anyerindas, Dike Manurung, Fania Magda, and Yadida Akbar. In presentation, we will talk about definition, intersecting, and network and repertoires. Next slide. Next. Okay. In definition, will be present by Yazidan. Yazidan, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sintika. Speech communities is a group of people who share a set of linguistic norms and expectations regarding the use of language. It's a concept mostly associated with sociolinguistic and anthropological linguistic. Jadi speech communities atau dalam bahasa Indonesia biasa disebut komunitas tutur, guyup tutur atau komunitas wicara adalah sekelompok orang yang memiliki repertoar verbal dan norma-norma praktik kebahasan yang mirip. Apa itu repertoar? Repertoar adalah daftar rencana permainan seperti sandiwara, opera, balet, komposisi musik, lagu dan atau peran yang telah dipersiapkan dan dipelajari oleh artis, grup musik, orkestra atau kelompok sandiwara sebelum mengadakan pertunjukan di depan penonton. Speech communities bisa terbentuk akibat adanya interaksi jangka panjang antara orang-orang yang memiliki preferensi dan sistem nilai yang relatif sama dalam soal bentuk dan gaya berkomunikasi. Speech communities dapat berupa sekelompok orang di daerah tertentu, misalnya suatu desa atau bagian kota. Next. About study of speech communities. The study of speech communities is central to the understanding of human language and meaning. Speech communities are groups that share values and attitudes about language use, varieties, and practice. Next. The concept of speech communities does not simply focus on groups that speak the same language. Rather, the concept takes as fact that language represents, embodies, construct, and constitutes meaningful participation in society and culture. And that's it for me. Back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you, Yazidan. Okay, next slide. We will move to next. Speech communities will be present by Pruden Anyerinda. Anyerinda, and is yours.
Okay, thanks moderator. Di sini saya akan menjelaskan pengertian speech communities menurut beberapa ahli. In the first, Lyons, pada tahun 1970, all people who use a gift language or dialect. In the second, Leboeuf, tahun 1972, participant is in a set of shared norms. These norms may uniformity of abstract patterns of variation which are invariant in respect to particular levels of usage. And the last, Jumpers, pada tahun 1971, a social group which be either monolingual or multilingual held together by frequency of social interaction and set off from the surrounding area by witness in the lines of communication. Next. We want to pay attention to use of the vernacular when establishing the role a single person within or outside the speech communities. By looking upstream, we can define the core of the group. First, interlopers, people who move to a new dialect area. How well do they fit it? Depends on their age, ability, motivation, or desire. And the second, insiders, people at the very core of the social group. They are highly integrated, involved in the group, but not necessarily group leaders. They are the leading force of spreading linguistic change. Next. Outsiders. They are not part of the mainstream, isolated, and considered. Uncalled, also called lames, tend to be linguistically conservative, don't use slang, don't use vernacular, less local sounding. And the last, aspires, social ambition beyond the immediate domain, the local group tend to be more standard. Next. How do we measure an individual's participant in the speech communities? Social network analysis emphasize the individual's place within a social network to seek to account for the variability in individual linguistic behavior rather than large-scale characterization of the community. And the second, sociometrics, a way to measure multilexity, how reciprocal is the relationship, measuring popularity in a way. Next. Network integration. Kinship work, territory-based activities terms, social groups, physical proximity all play a role. And the last, acts of identity. Individual creates for himself the patterns of his linguistic behavior so as to resemble those of the group or groups which he or she wishes to be identified and to be unlike those from who he or she wishes to be distinguished. Next. In the next, social network speech community. Any way of describing a particular speech community in terms of relations among its individual members. First, tight community, all members of the one group interacting with each other. And the last, loser community, little interaction among the members of group. Next. Internal or external language. First, external language, all that happens among people in social context, and internal language, all which happens inside our minds. Next. And the last, the 5 case element for the speech community. First, the element population, the area element, the facility element, the identification element, and the last, the interaction element. Okay, guys, that's all for me. Back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you, Prudent Anyerinda. And next material, intersecting communities, will be explained by Fania. Fania, time is yours.
Yeah, thank you for the moderator to give me the opportunity to explain. So I'm going to explain to you about intersecting communities. Now, the fact that people do use expressions such as New York speech, London speech, and South African speech indicates that they have some idea of how a typical person from each place speaks. That is of what it is like to be a member of a particular speech community, somewhat loosely defined. Jadi komunitas tutur ini sebenarnya tidak bisa dikategorikan berdasarkan dari tempat di mana mereka berada lagi, karena biasa di satu tempat terdapat banyak orang pendatang yang bukan bagian dari tempat tersebut, misalnya kayak imigran. Nah, untuk penjelasan lebih lanjutnya akan dijelaskan oleh Rosen. Jadi, so Rosen in 1980 has indicated some of the problems you find in trying to call a city like London a speech community, and in describing exactly what characterizes its speech. He says that such cities cannot be thought of as linguistic patchwork maps, ghetto after ghetto, not only because languages and dialects have no simple geographical distribution, but also because interaction between them blurs whatever boundaries might be drawn. Both a geographical model and a social class model would be false, though each could contribute to an understanding. In such places, dialects and languages are beginning to influence each other. Urbanization is a great eroder of linguistic frontiers. Jadi di sini Rosen menjelaskan bahwa batas-batas antara negara atau tempat itu sudah bisa dibilang blur, sudah buyar, sudah tidak ada batas lagi, terutama di zaman globalisasi ini. Jadi susah sekali untuk mengkategorikan komunitas tutor atau speech communities. Nah itu kenapa jadi tercipta intersecting communities, di mana ada komunitas yang sudah bercampur baur dengan satu sama lain. Next please. And the result is the creation of thousands of bilingual and to a certain extent dialectical speakers on a scale and of a diversity unprecedented in our history. Which dialect of English they learn depends in the main on their social class position in this country. It is common practice to talk of the target language of a second language learner. In London, it will be a moving target, though undoubtedly most by virtue of their social position will have as their chief model London working class speech. Next slide, please. Now, many other parts of the world would have some multilingual characteristic. Example, the Balkans. Nah, di Balkan ini kan daerahnya banyak sekali campuran dari orang-orang dari berbagai negara seperti Bulgaria, Turki, Yunani, Serbia, dan Albania. Untuk large areas of the Indian subcontinent, ada negara Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Pakistan, dan Sri Lanka. And as for Papua New Guinea, bahasa yang mereka gunakan juga sangat beragam, mulai dari bahasa Tok Pisin, bahasa Inggris, dan bahasa Hirimoto. Now, equating language to community is perhaps most easily seen in certain modern states, which have insisted that language be used to express some concept of nationhood. And in doing so, have tried to standardize and promote particular language for particular languages at the expense of competitors, but such solutions are not always lasting or uncontroversial. As we can see in countries such as Germany, France, the United Kingdom, Canada, and the United States, all of which have recently had to acknowledge in one way or another the presence of people who do not speak this variety or varieties, but who are nevertheless very much part of the larger communities. Jadi di sini emang beberapa negara seperti Jerman, Prancis, UK, Kanada, dan Amerika juga bisa dibilang mereka tidak lagi bisa memberikan standar apa speech community mereka karena mereka harus acknowledge bahwa dalam satu atau lain hal ada kehadiran dari orang-orang dengan etnis yang berbeda di negara mereka dan dengan cara berbicara berbeda dan aksen yang berbeda. Now, according to Saville, Troy, and Turkey, individuals may belong to several speech communities, which may be discrete or overlapping, just as they may participate in a variety of social settings, which one or one's individuals are in themselves to at any given moment. Which set of social and communicative rules they use is part of the strategy of communication. To understand this phenomenon, one must recognize that each member of a community has a repertoire of social identities and that each identity in a given context is associated with a number of appropriate verbal and non-verbal forms of expression. Next slide, please. Now, in conclusion, there is no limit to the way in which individuals can classify themselves. And if speaker must constantly create and recreate social identities for themselves, then it may also be impossible to predict with certainty which group or community any individual will consider himself or herself to belong to at a particular moment. Groups and communities themselves are also ever-changing. Their boundaries are often porous and internal relationships shift. They must constantly reinvent and recreate themselves. Now, each individual, therefore, is a member of many different groups. It is in the best interest of most people to be able to identify themselves on one occasion as members of one group and on another as members of another group. Such group also may or may not overlap. One of the consequences of the intersecting identifications is, of course, linguistic variation. People do not speak alike, or does any individual always speak in the same way on every occasion. The variation we see in language must partly reflect a need that people have to be seen as the same as certain or other people on some occasions, and as different from them on other occasions. Jadi intinya, di intersecting communities ini memang ada beberapa orang yang tidak berbicara seperti misalnya contoh paling mudahnya di Bangka ini. Kita sebagai mahasiswa di Universitas Bangka Belitung. Nah, ini kan sudah bisa dibilang contoh intersecting community karena tidak hanya orang yang berbicara bahasa Bangka aja, Bangka speech community, tapi juga ada orang dari luar Bangka, misalnya orang Jakarta, orang Riau, atau orang Palembang yang berbicara dengan aksen mereka sendiri, kadang mereka ada bahasa mereka sendiri, jadi sudah bercampur, sudah intinya sekali lagi batas-batas itu sudah tidak ada lagi. Jadi so that's it from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fania Magda. We will next to network and repertoires will be explained by Cynthia Marvika. Cynthia, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for moderator. I will explain about the network and how to network it. I will use Indonesia so that it is easy to understand. Oke, yang pertama itu cara untuk melihat bagaimana seorang individu berhubungan dengan individu lain dalam masyarakat adalah dengan menanyakan jaringan apa yang dia ikuti. Seperti contoh yang di gambar ini ada yang A, ke B, ke C, dan ke lainnya. Oke, individu dikatakan terlibat dalam jaringan yang padat jika individu lain yang kita kenal berinteraksi juga saling mengenal dan berinteraksi. Individu juga dikatakan terlibat dalam jaringan multiplex jika orang-orang di dalamnya terikat bersama dan lebih dari satu cara, yaitu tidak hanya melalui pekerjaan tetapi juga melalui kegiatan sosial lainnya. Nah, di Inggris, hal ini ditemukan pada struktur kelas sosial yang ekstrim. Jaringan tersebut menunjukkan kohesi sosial yang kuat, menghasilkan perasaan solidaritas, dan mendorong individu untuk mengidentifikasi dengan orang lain dalam jaringan. Di sisi lain, jaringan menengah cenderung longgar dan sederhana. Oleh karena itu, kohesi sosial berkurang dan ada perasaan yang lemah. Nah, kita menggunakan contoh dari Fishman yang dia sebut dengan Hypothetical Government Functionaries di Belgia. Fishman menjelaskan bagaimana topik dan domain mempengaruhi pilihan linguistik. Domain mungkin bersifat sosial, budaya, atau psikologis, dan akan melibatkan pertimbangan hal seperti hubungan peran dan lokal. Terus selanjutnya ada Dobes and Horvath. Mereka mengakui bahwa sementara konsep jaringan sosial ini tampaknya berguna dalam mempelajari perilaku bahasa di lingkungan perkotaan dan efektivitasnya dalam pembangunan non-urban. Yang terakhir ada Milroy and Gordon. Mereka juga menunjukkan bahwa konsep jaringan sosial dan komunitas praktik terkait erat, dan perbedaan di antara keduanya itu cuma di metode dan fokus. Okay, that's all for me. I will give back to moderator.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia Marvika. Okay, the next material is about repertoire. Will be explained by myself. Okay, repertoire. An individual has a speech repertoire that if he or she is fluent in a number of different language or two or more language. Jadi istilah repertoire ini dipakai untuk semua bahasa dan ragam bahasa yang diketahui dan dipakai seseorang dalam pergaulan, pekerjaan, dan urusan-urusan lainnya. Ternyata bahwa setiap orang bisa menguasai atau menggunakan banyak ragam bahasa dari ragam bahasa ibu atau bahasa pertamanya, seperti itu. Terus kemampuan komunikatif seseorang yang sangat bervariasi, setidaknya menguasai satu bahasa dengan berbagai bahasa variasi lainnya, yang mungkin menguasai selain bahasa ibu, yaitu bahasa lain atau bahasa asing yang diperoleh sebagai hasil pendidikan atau pergaulannya dengan penutur bahasa di luar lingkungannya. Okay, next slide. Next. Okay, jadi the last material is conclusion will be explained by Nurul Safira.
Okay, thank you, Tika. So the conclusion of this presentation is that speech communities are groups of people who share a set of norms and also linguistic expectations regarding language use. It is a concept which is largely related to sociolinguistics and anthropological linguistics. There are two parts that we explain in this material related to speech communities. The first is intersecting communities. Intersecting communities indicating the speaker of places do use expressions indicates that there is some idea of how a typical person from each place speaks. And the second is the network and repertoire. Network, which shows that someone through interaction in the network can become part of various speech communities, while the repertoire of various language variations obtained from the network. Thank you.
Okay, that's all from presentation about speech communities by Group 5. Thank you for attention and see you next time. Thank you.